Have you ever hired like an absolute superstar salesperson who completely crushed their targets at their last job?
Oh, man. Everyone has.
Right, and then you bring them on and you just watch them absolutely flatline on your team.
It's the ultimate nightmare for any commercial leader, truly.
Yeah, you look at their resume, you look at their previous numbers, and you just think, wait, what happened? Did they suddenly just forget how to sell?
You spend the budget, you make the hire, you expect these massive fireworks, and instead you just get this really slow, incredibly expensive fizzle.
Exactly.
And the worst part is the self-doubt it creates in the leadership team,
Oh, for sure. You start questioning your own onboarding process.
All right, you question the product, your market fit, when the reality is actually often much simpler
Yeah.
and much more structural.
So if you are listening to this right now, if you're a VP of sales, a hiring manager, an executive, or even a founder trying to scale revenue, you know exactly the pain we are talking about here.
You definitely do.
Think about your calendar last week. How many hours did you spend in one-on-ones with a rep who used to be an absolute killer at Oracle or Salesforce?
Just trying to coach them on how to break into a cold territory.
Yeah, you're burning like 20 hours a week essentially doing their job for them.
It's exhausting.
It really is. So today, we are taking a deep dive into some fascinating research and analysis by Nathan Davis from The Sales Experts.
Yeah, this piece is fantastic. It really dismantles a very common, very costly illusion in the corporate world.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the core premise here challenges the very foundation of how businesses build their commercial teams, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. The whole idea is that the most common reason for sales underperformance isn't a lack of talent.
Right. It isn't laziness.
No, not at all. It is a fundamental structural mismatch in role profiles.
So we have to start by examining this flawed assumption that, well, almost all commercial leaders make during the hiring process, and often without even realizing it.
Yeah, the overarching assumption in the business world is that strong salespeople are basically, broadly interchangeable.
The old sales is sales mentality.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Leadership looks at a candidate who is confident, commercially sharp, and has a proven track record of delivering results somewhere else.
And they assume that person will just be a good fit for almost any sales environment.
Right. They think of them like a lithium battery.
Yeah, you just pop them out of one revenue machine, snap them into yours, and expect the exact same voltage.
But that's just not how human behavior works.
No, it's not. I want to look at the mechanics of why that fails. It kind of reminds me of professional sports, actually.
Oh, that's a great way to look at it.
Right. So imagine an NFL team going out and hiring an elite Hall of Fame defensive linebacker.
Okay.
This guy is a phenomenal football player. He is strong, he's fast, he reads the field brilliantly.
Right, an incredible athlete.
Exactly. And then the coach puts him in as the starting quarterback simply because he's a quote-unquote great football player.
He'd throw 5 interceptions in the first quarter.
Right. And not because he lacks athletic talent.
Exactly. It's because this specific muscle memory, the field vision, the physical mechanics required for those two positions, they're entirely different.
They are playing the same sport, but they're playing completely different games.
Yeah, the mechanical mismatch is just so obvious in football.
But here's my question for you then. If the mismatch is so obvious there, why do standard interview questions fail to catch this in the business world?
That's the real issue.
I mean, if I'm a seasoned VP of sales, I'm not an amateur, right? I'm asking tough, probing questions. So why am I still putting a linebacker in the quarterback slot?
Well, because standard interview questions are measuring the outcome, not the actual mechanism.
Ah, okay. That makes sense.
What's fascinating here is that questions like, have you hit your target consistently? Or walk me through the $5 million in revenue you brought in last year. Those are practically universal.
Everyone asks those.
Right. And they're useful baseline, sure. But they are entirely incomplete.
Because they just give you a number.
Exactly. They do not give you the context of the win.
And context is where the trap is hidden.
Precisely. You have to dig into that context. When that candidate says they closed $5 million, you need to find out where the momentum actually originated.
Did that revenue come from winning brand new logos in a highly competitive market?
Right, like where no one even knew their company's name.
Yeah, did they have to self-generate every single piece of that pipeline from completely cold outreach?
Or, and this is huge, did they just inherit a massive amount of warm demand?
Did they step into a highly supported sales environment where, a massive marketing budget was just handing them qualified leads on a silver platter?
I've seen that happen so many times.
Me too. You hire someone who looked like an absolute rainmaker on paper, but it turns out they were just riding the wave of incredible product market fit at their last company.
Yeah, they were basically a highly competent order taker operating in a booming market.
Disguised as a scrappy pipeline generator.
Exactly. And if you don't uncover that context during the interview, you risk hiring someone who is incredibly successful in one very specific, highly supported setting.
And then you just drop them into the gritty, unsupported reality of your new territory.
And the financial fallout of getting this wrong is just staggering. It goes way beyond their base salary.
Let's actually make that visceral for the listener. The base salary is just the visible tip of the iceberg, right?
Right.
What is the actual structural cost to the business when this mismatch happens?
The hidden bleeding is severe. First, you have a delayed pipeline.
Because in B2B sales, a pipeline takes months to build.
Months, sometimes years. If you have the wrong person in the seat, you don't just lose their deals, you lose the 6 months of compounding momentum they were supposed to be building.
Wow. Yeah, that hurts.
Second, you have missed market opportunities. While your rep is struggling to get traction, your competitors are swooping in.
They're securing those early adopter clients.
Exactly. You are losing market share, not just immediate revenue.
And then there's the internal cost, right? The drain on leadership.
It's massive.
Yeah.
You have a highly paid VP or sales director spending half their week trying to micromanage and heavily coach a rep who is fundamentally not wired for the job.
Which drains leadership energy away from the top performers who actually need strategic support.
Right. And eventually, you hit the inevitable cost of firing them, restarting the entire search, and rehiring.
Which means you've basically just lost 9 to 12 months of runway.
Yeah, and for a growing business, especially venture-backed companies, losing a year of territory development can literally be fatal.
So we've clearly established that generic sales ability is a dangerous myth.
Completely.
Which means commercial leaders need to understand the distinct behavioral profiles required to actually drive growth.
Now, every seasoned sales leader listening to this knows the terms sales hunter versus sales farmer.
Oh yeah, it's sales 101.
Right, but the execution is where they constantly fail.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because we need to look past the basic definitions, right?
Yeah.
We have to understand the actual psychological mechanics of these two profiles.
That is the crux of the issue. We all know the vocabulary, but we completely ignore the neuroscience and the behavioral wiring behind it.
So let's look at the sales hunter. This is the profile responsible for new business generation, right?
Outbound prospecting.
Yeah.
Kicking down doors in completely untapped markets.
They are building a pipeline in places where literally zero demand currently exists.
And to do that, to literally create commercial momentum from thin air, you need a very specific psychological makeup.
Hunters thrive on pace, right? They have this intense resilience.
They take immense initiative, but crucially, they run on short-term dopamine hits.
The thrill of the chase, the kill of the close.
Exactly. They have a massive comfort level with rejection because the rejection is just, well, it's just an obstacle in the way of that dopamine hit.
So they can hear no 40 times before lunch.
And still pick up the phone with genuine aggressive enthusiasm at 1 o'clock.
That's a very specific type of person.
It really is. Now, contrast that fundamental wiring with the sales farmer profile.
Okay, the farmer is entirely focused on account management, retention,
and strategic expansion. Their primary directive is protecting and growing revenue from existing customers over a multi-year timeline.
So they are identifying upsell, cross-sell, and deeply embedded expansion opportunities within a portfolio they already hold.
Right. So they aren't hunting for the meal. They are cultivating the field to yield a bigger harvest year after year.
And the psychological requirements for that are completely opposed to the hunter.
Entirely. Farmers operate on long-term trust building. If a hunter runs on adrenaline and dopamine, a farmer runs on consistency.
What Win Nathan Davis calls commercial patience, right?
Yes, commercial patience. They need a highly structured approach to customer development.
They are navigating complex, multi-stakeholder relationships over a long period.
They aren't looking for a quick kill. They're looking for institutional integration.
Okay, now let me push back hard on this.
Go for it.
Let's play out a real-world scenario, because I hear this from founders all the time, particularly at the Series A or Series B stage.
Sure.
They tell me, look, this psychological profiling is great in theory, but I don't have the headcount or the budget for two different roles.
Right. They can't hire a dedicated outbound team and a dedicated account management team.
Exactly. They say, I just want a killer, full-cycle salesperson who is talented enough to do both. Go out, hunt the new logo, close it, and then farm the account for the next 3 years.
Yeah, the classic demand.
So why can't a truly elite rep just do both?
I hear that from founders constantly, and it is a completely understandable desire. I mean, you want a unicorn.
Right.
But structurally, demanding a single person to seamlessly switch between these two modes is just a recipe for chronic underperformance.
Because you are asking them to fight their own natural working styles.
Yeah, and their motivations on a daily basis, what gets them out of bed in the morning, is fundamentally different.
So let's look at the mechanics of what happens when you force this mismatch.
Okay, say you hire that highly aggressive new business developer, a pure hunter, who gets an adrenaline rush from the close.
And you force them to also manage the accounts they win. What actually happens?
They get bored. The moment the contract is signed, the dopamine is just gone.
They don't want to sit in quarterly business reviews.
Yeah, they lack commercial patience. So they either abandon the client to go hunt again, which leads to massive churn.
Or they alienate the client by pushing way too hard for a quick, aggressive upsell before the relationship is even ready.
Exactly.
I'm going to use a different medical analogy here. It's kind of like having an adrenaline-driven ER trauma surgeon.
Oh, like this?
Right. They are incredible at saving a life in the first chaotic hour after a car crash.
But you absolutely do not want that same trauma surgeon managing your 12-month physical therapy rehab.
No, they don't have the patience for it, and they'll probably push you to sprint before you can even walk.
That is a brilliant way to frame it. And the inverse is just as damaging, by the way.
Right. Take a relationship-led account manager, a true farmer who excels at building deep, stable, trusting partnerships.
And then force them into a full-cycle role where 50% of their day depends on persistent, aggressive, cold, outbound prospecting to self-generate their own pipeline.
They would freeze completely.
Oh, totally. They'd spend 8 hours perfectly customizing their email templates and researching accounts.
Just to avoid actually picking up the phone and facing the rejection.
Yep. And in both of these mismatched scenarios, the leadership team sees the exact same warning signs on the dashboard.
Lower pipeline development, stalled revenue, a sudden drop in the salesperson's confidence.
And massive mutual frustration.
Yeah.
And the real tragedy here is that the person you are agonizing over might not be a weak salesperson at all.
Right. They aren't a bad employee.
They're just fundamentally mismatched to the commercial reality you've dropped them into.
Which brings us back to the core insight from the sales experts. Recognizing the psychological differences between hunters and farmers is fascinating, but it remains purely academic until you apply it systematically to your hiring process.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, we need to look at the practical, actionable steps executives must take to actually secure the top 1% of sales talent.
And stop this brutal cycle of mishiring.
The first absolute non-negotiable step in better sales hiring is establishing what we call role clarity.
Role clarity, okay.
Before you look at a single resume, before you let a recruiter bring you candidates, the business must define exactly what the role is structurally meant to achieve.
And let's be clear, role clarity does not mean writing a generic job description that says, looking for a dynamic go-getter to drive revenue and exceed quota.
No, that is meaningless corporate jargon.
You have to get microscopic about the commercial environment. Are you expecting this person to create a pipeline from absolute scratch with zero marketing air cover?
Right. Are they supposed to break into completely new, uncharted enterprise markets where nobody even returns your calls?
Or are you hiring them to grow strategic accounts that already trust your brand? Are they supposed to protect your existing retention rate against aggressive competitors?
Those are not minor administrative details, Those environmental factors fundamentally change the behavioral profile of the human being you need to hire.
You are defining the arena before you choose the gladiator.
Beautifully said.
Okay, let's distill this for the listener. Based on the methodology from the sales experts, what are the actionable takeaways that a VP of sales or a founder can apply to their hiring strategy literally tomorrow morning?
There are 3 critical takeaways to implement immediately. Number 1, define the specific success profile and the environmental reality of the role before you commit to a search.
Before.
Yes. Do not go shopping for talent without a highly specific, behavior-based list of requirements.
Okay, number 2.
Great.
When you are in the interview, you must look right past those generalized revenue numbers.
Right. Do not be blinded by a candidate claiming they hit 150% of quota. You have to interrogate the context.
Dig in to understand the specific commercial environment they succeeded in. Were they hunting in the cold, or were they farming in a greenhouse?
Exactly. And number 3, and honestly, this is the most important one, You must use structured frameworks to match a candidate's natural behavior to the demands of your role.
You have to remove the gut feeling from the process.
Because, as we discussed, hunters are phenomenal at interviewing.
Oh, they really are. They treat the interview panel like a short-term hunt.
They will charm you, they will close you, and they will act like a chameleon to make you think they have the exact traits you were looking for.
Your gut feeling is completely useless against a skilled sales chameleon.
It really is.
That chameleon effect is exactly why so many seasoned leaders still get fooled. They think they have a great instinct for talent, but they are just being successfully sold to. Speaking of structured frameworks to cut through that, the research mentions a specific diagnostic tool utilized by the sales experts to solve this exact vulnerability in the hiring process.
Yes, they utilize a proprietary framework called the Sales Hunter Intelligence Evaluation.
Okay.
And what is vital to understand here is how it works. It doesn't just ask a candidate, "Are you a hunter?" Because everyone will say yes if the base salary is high enough.
Right, obviously.
Instead, it is a behavioral and situational diagnostic. It uses specific metrics to cut through the interview polish and reveal the candidate's natural behavioral wiring.
So it's looking at situational judgment. It forces the candidate into scenarios that reveal whether their default instinct is to push for the close.
Or to pull back and nurture the relationship. It objectively measures their comfort with rejection and their actual requirement for structure.
So it completely removes the guesswork.
It does. It gives leadership an objective readout. This person's behavioral DNA is wired for new business generation. Or this person's behavioral DNA is wired for account growth and retention.
You no longer have to guess based on how confident and articulate they sounded in the boardroom.
Exactly.
So what does this all mean? When a business actually stops relying on gut instinct, implements this level of scientific role clarity, and utilizes behavioral diagnostics, what happens to their bottom line?
The commercial impact.
Yeah, what is the actual commercial impact of getting this right?
Well, the commercial benefits are immediate and highly measurable. When you define the role properly and match it to the accurate behavioral profile, you see a complete transformation in field execution.
Faster pipeline generation is the first metric to move, right?
Absolutely. When you put a true hunter in a pure hunting role, they don't hesitate. They execute outreach faster, they handle objections better, and your time to first deal shrinks dramatically.
And on the flip side, you see stronger retention and predictable account growth in your customer-facing roles.
Your farmers will actually protect your base. They will map the stakeholder organization, they will secure the renewals, and they will organically grow your share of wallet.
Without alienating your best clients.
Right. You also eliminate a massive amount of internal friction.
Because when you have pure role clarity across the entire commercial team, you don't have reps stepping on each other's toes.
You don't have hunters hoarding accounts they aren't actually servicing.
And you don't have farmers complaining about the quality of the cold leads.
The machine runs smoothly because every gear is designed for its specific function.
Which ultimately culminates in the holy grail for any executive team or board of directors: predictable, reliable, scalable revenue growth.
It really is that straightforward.
We have to stop looking for the mythical, universal, full-cycle unicorn salesperson.
That idea is officially outdated, and holding on to it is costing your business millions in lost opportunity.
True sales success does not come from finding a good salesperson in the abstract. It comes from absolute role clarity and hiring the specific behavioral profile your business actually needs to execute your specific stage of growth.
You have to respect the structural reality of the market and the psychological reality of the people you hire to conquer it.
Exactly. So for you, the listener, if you want to stop the exhausting cycle of costly mishires, if you want to stop burning your calendar coaching reps who are in the wrong seat, and if you want to build a team that actually executes, you need to dive deeper into this methodology.
Highly recommend it.
We encourage you to visit thesalesexperts.com to learn how to build a sales hiring process that is based on scientific role clarity and behavioral data, rather than just guesswork and interview charm.
You know, this raises an important question.
Oh, I always love where these go. Lay it on us.
We talked about the linebacker trying to play quarterback. I want you to look at your own sales floor right now, or, pull up your CRM dashboard.
Okay.
Look at your lowest performing rep, the one you've been agonizing over, the one you're actually considering putting on a performance improvement plan next week.
Yep. Everyone has one in mind right now.
Are they actually a bad salesperson who lacks talent? Or did you just plant a hunter in a farmer's field and get angry when the crops didn't grow?
Man, That is a question that is going to keep a lot of VPs of sales awake tonight. Reevaluate your dashboard tomorrow morning with that exact lens. That is a
Mhm.
perfect place to leave it. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and we'll catch you on the next one.